Second aspect of this is instead of changing the data, changing the way that you're looking at the same data. And that might be because you're looking at one part of data in a bar chart, but then looking at it in a line chart or in a bubble chart, pie chart, tree map. All of these show different things about the same data. Perhaps we want to look at something proportionally, and then we want to have a look at it absolutely as well. So good example of this. In this case, I've got some pretty exciting data here from the Danish Statistics Authority. So I spent a bit of time last year working over in Denmark, and I pulled up this data on the different categories of accounting, bookkeeping, and auditing, and the difference between them in 2014 and 2016. So as I said, thrilling stuff. Now, when you're presented with a table like this, a few questions might pop into your head. You might start to think, which is the largest category here? What's the difference? We've got 2 years worth of data, so what's the difference between 2014 and 2016? How much does each category proportionally make up of the whole? And these are all questions that if you spent long enough looking at this table, I'm sure you could grasp them, but that's where the visual aspect really comes in. So got a couple of examples here. First one, exactly the same data. Here, we're looking at it in a bar chart. So this data is just the 2016 data, and we're looking quite quickly. We can see that financial auditing services is the largest. It makes up almost a third of the total. We can also very quickly see that there's 4 categories that are very similar. So additional products, bookkeeping, other accounting and tax services, all quite similar here. And then we've got 3 there at the bottom that are much smaller, including insolvency and receivership services. So this is one way of looking at that data in the bar chart. If I take the same data and I flip it over, and this time I'm looking at a slope chart. And very quickly, the eye, instead of looking at the length of the bars, we're now looking at the slope of the lines to try and analyze what's going on in that data. And when I did this, I had the 2014 and 2016 data in here. When I did this, one of the lines stood out to me as being considerably different to the rest. Most of them are relatively flat, but we've got this single line here, which was the other accounting services, which just over doubles in the time period from 2014 to 2016. So again, using visual analysis, we were able to pick that out much quicker than perhaps if we were having to scan down a table looking at each individual row. And in this case, maybe the insight or the takeaway is that the Danish government or the Danish Statistics Authority can make their other accounting services category a little less broad, and maybe have a few more categories in the future. So a couple of examples there. Firstly, changing the data. Secondly, changing the charts that you're looking at when you're actually viewing the data, the same data. And in my experience, that the visual analytics process is this wheel. You start with a question, you get the data for it, you then chart it, and then you answer your question. But more often than not, once you've answered your first question, another question or 3 more questions come out of that, and you dive deeper and continue in this wheel. And sometimes I hear it referred to as the flow of data analytics, or the flow of visual analytics, where you get caught in this cycle of finding the new question, perhaps from your answer, perhaps you've had another bout of inspiration somewhere, and that this flow continues until you get to an ultimate answer that perhaps that's what you want to put into your reports that you're sharing with whoever your audience might be, or perhaps you're deciding on something, and then that's the final bit that goes into a dashboard and it interacts with other charts. So it's, the important thing here is really a flow. You're starting with a question, you're answering that question using visual means, so different types of charts, different attributes, color, and so on, to answer those questions, and then you're finding new questions off the back of that.